Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to Habitat Différent, Angers. Today I want to talk about traveling by plane and by other means of transportation. And I already did this video in German and in French, and it made me think a bit. Because before it was quite obvious to me that traveling by plane is the worst of all, and that compared to the other means of transport, it is consumes much more energy than anything else, ships and buses and cars. But apparently it's not that big of a difference, or in any case it's a bit more complex, because it all depends on how many people are transported by the different means of transportation, of course. For example, for the ship, the ship is very efficient at transporting things, but also for the reason that it mainly transports goods and tons of goods, and so they are rather easy to stock on a big ship. You can put tons and tons of goods, but on a really small space, and that's why it's very efficient relatively compared to the weight that it consumes. It consumes relatively few compared to the weight it transports, but then again, transporting people, maybe it would not be so easy, and that's why there's a big difference between the efficiency between container ships and cruise ships. Cruise ships, it seems that fuel consumption is higher than for planes. So I had a look on some of the websites, and one was saying that a Boeing 747, relatively full, with 500 people, it seems it's consuming very much fuel, of course, but per person it seems to be less than driving the car. As a single person driving a car at the same distance, you consume more fuel than taking the plane with 500 people. That was really surprising to me. So driving a car is just as bad as as taking a plane. Then concerning the ship, the problem is also we starting the travel from France to America. I was doing some research on finding a ship crossing the Atlantic Ocean, which is really complicated. There are very few offers actually. Apparently there are container ships, but quite expensive, $1,000 per person, which is way out of our budget. And there was one Pullman company transferring a cruise ship that they are using in Europe in the summer, in the European summer, and then they are transferring it to the southern hemisphere in Brazil once a year in November, and then once a year back. But in November it's from Europe to Brazil to Serif, I think, and it costs $600 per person, which is just the double, twice as much as the cheapest flight that we could find from Paris to Orlando. So we would be limited concerning the date of our travel, concerning the destination of our travel, and also we would just pay the double. And this is partly justified by the fact that it's a 10 days travel, and it's slow, so it consumes much less energy because it's so slow. And but we have to pay for the food and the service during that time, and this is what makes it really expensive. So human labor is more expensive than burning fuel, and that's why taking a plane is much more economical. This does not count. This argument does not count for shorter travels and by overland. For example, let's say from Paris to Berlin, you have the choice between train, bus, and plane. And unfortunately, most of the time, plane or the plane can be cheaper than traveling by bus or by train, and this is not logical because it still there's no doubt that it consumes much more fuel than taking the plane, than taking the bus or the train, and this is unfortunately a political economical question. The kerosene is not taxed as high as diesel or fuel is. So this is a problem that I will talk in another video about again, maybe if I have time. But yeah, it's the UNO that taxes fuel because it's international, and I think this is something we would have to work on to incite people to travel responsibly. Okay. This is all for today. Have a good day and travel consciously. Ciao.